Yu-Gi-Oh! Just announced a new format for the TCG. It's meant to be for, and I quote, duelists looking for a less complicated game, duelists who are new to the game, duelists who have always had a favorite deck and want their favorite deck to be a little more competitive, and anybody looking for new experience or a change of pace. Could it be what I think it is? Were all those years being patient finally worth it? That's right, folks, it's time for Genesys format. Of course, I am talking about the Genesys format. Hello everyone, my name is Protagonist, you can call me Protag, and I make Rush Duel videos. But today is going to be a little different. Konami just made a huge announcement, introducing the new Genesys format for the TCG, a point-based system that focuses more on the deck-building aspect of Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards are assigned point values. The vast majority cards are 0 points, but around 500 or so cards are assigned point values from 1 to 100, and in standard formats your deck can't consist of more than 100 total points. But as an additional restriction, you can't use any pendulums or links in your deck. So it aims to lower the overall power level of most decks and tries to bring in strategies that might not have seen much play before into the spotlight. Overall, I'm pretty positive on the release. I'm someone who just wants Yu-Gi-Oh! As a whole to grow, and people have been begging for a new format to play. Especially after the loss of the OG Time Wizard format and partially speed duels, it only made sense that we would be seeing something new. But unlike Time Wizard and Speed Duel, Konami is investing a lot into Genesys. Invitationals that will occur leading into certain YCSs where you can then get stuff like the 2009 SJC Dark End Dragon and Giant cards. Ruggles in his Insider video mentions Jerome with a box of Starlights that you can get for winning. But that could be the Dark End Dragon or something, I'm honestly not too sure, I was distracted by his huge muscles. But I couldn't imagine Konami doing something like this for any current alt format that we have now. So they really want this to work out. I mean, according to them, they've spent around 2 years on it, so I hope for their sake it's good too. Anyway, why am I making a video on this? To be honest, it's cause I feel a little bummed out. As someone who's been playing Rush and making videos for a bit now, how can you not feel a little sad about this news? I mentioned this before, but I kinda lost hope of a Rush TCG release when they didn't announce it for Worlds. But today felt like the final nail in the coffin for me. Konami said they've been working on this format for 2 years now, so I really doubt they had time or resources to do anything else. And in the end, that's their decision. I'm not going to complain that the format is bad. I honestly just don't know enough to make that sort of statement. It literally came out today for the general public. But I definitely see that a lot of people are excited about it, and that's good. It's just unfortunate to me that they went in this direction instead of Rush Duels. Logically though, it does make some sense. Resource-wise, Genesys doesn't cost them any extra printing or product, and Lord knows Konami doesn't want to change that. They can just continue to release the sets as they are and just update the points list with any powerful new cards that might need to be limited to keep the power level stable. In fact, I guess if they really wanted to, they could release Genesys packs with some of the high point cards or hard to get cards so that people can have access to them. Maybe in new rarities as well? I mean, who knows? And from what Josh and Doug were saying in their Insider videos, the list will be updated more frequently compared to the TCG Forbidden Limited list, meaning that metas can shift more and not keep players feeling stagnant. The streets are saying about once a month, which is kind of wild to me, but if true, that's really cool. And hopefully now you can see what Konami wants to prioritize in the TCG regions. Everything needs to go back into buying the TCG and potentially Master Duel products and nothing else. If they tried to add Rush, it would be harder for them to do. Even if Rush got all the same things that Genesys currently has, there's still a few hurdles that would need to be cleared. Some examples are things like getting people to understand the new rules, making entirely new products for the game, and quelling the overall negativity with Rush. I've talked with some people about this online who do play Rush, and while they share some of the same sentiment, the idea of printing or releasing both at the same time was brought up. Why didn't Konami just do that? On one hand, yeah, it's definitely possible, especially since it would only need one new line of products, and therefore less resources compared to Speed and Rush being printed at the same time. But on the other hand, it would feel like dividing the player base in a way that I'm sure Konami doesn't want. We've all seen the YouTube videos about how the TCG might be failing or how Master Duel sucks, so I'm sure Konami just wants to have Genesys be the solution to both problems first, before they try and tackle something else. And to further go along the lines of everything ending up in the TCG or Master Duel, Genesys format would slot super easily into Master Duel as a new ranked ladder. I'm no expert, but if it took you 4 years for rated games or whatever, it can't be that hard to make a separate ladder with all the same cards, just with added restrictions. It'll be like a Duel trial, but forever. However, as someone who focuses their time playing Rush, it does suck to see that Konami has essentially closed that door for the TCG regions. I was already making and recording a video about how this was the last year that it would make sense for Konami to announce Rush for the West, but with the announcement of Genesys, I can't honestly hold out hope. If you're for some reason worried about me, don't be. I'll obviously still continue to make videos and stuff, but not to be too overly dramatic, part of my motivation did die today. But I also have to admit that Genesys, just like how people were saying about Rush, can be the fabled bridge to help close the gap from the casual/newbie into competitive play. This is something that many people have been searching for. They tried GOAT format, they tried Time Wizard, and all these other things, but it looks like Genesys might be the official answer that Konami is hoping for. In Genesys' case, there are no new cards, so everything that's ever been printed is viable to an extent, and if you want to get better and step into the competitive scene, you can actually just increase the max point value until you basically hit the unlimited stage. Sure, not having any pendulums and links will still make things a little bit awkward, but at least many of the basic principles will still be there when they do take that final step. And from a content standpoint, it's pretty easy to make videos on Genesys. You can just make decks and do your own standard locals deck list a la the TCG, or you can make your own rooms in Master Duel with their card pool and the current Genesys point list. It's that easy. If you want to spice things up, just increase or decrease the max point value and now you have so many new ways to play. The adaptability of Genesys format is a strong point to focus on. Not needing to change too much of the game just to play something new isn't unheard of, but having it be official and promoted is pretty nice. Obviously, this announcement also had some animosity sprinkled in. Yugioh is kinda famous for hating any new thing that might affect the way that you play Yu-Gi-Oh! So while a lot of people will give Genesys a chance, it's hard to predict how long it'll stay after the initial hype dies off. Like, I know that they're already planning into the 2026 period, but it would be really, really bad if, not a full amount of people actually sign up for this YCS. And also, I get from a design aspect why links might need to be banned, but what did pendulums do to warrant this much hate? It's been like 10 years. I feel like we can admit that they're alright. Anyway, so what kind of things will Konami try and do to keep people's minds on Genesys, and will it work? For me, I'd love to see an official YouTube series with popular names to try out the format with their favorite decks, and see how it goes. Maybe we can have some more VTuber and variety streamer collabs once the format goes digital. Honestly, there's just a lot that can be done here. So with the advent of Genesys format upon us, I can only hope that it does well. If you're like me and just enjoy some good Yu-Gi-Oh, you can't help but be excited about the news. And hey, if it does well, there's a chance Konami thinks that maybe we can afford to do Rush duels here. And that would be really nice. But regardless, you'll probably catch me watching any YCS Genesys coverage, and whatever video my favorite Yu-Gi tubers might make about the format. At this point, you just kinda have to. And with that being said, that's it for me this evening. Thanks for following me through what I think were the 5 stages of grief. This is Protagonist signing off for tonight, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.